Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Glowing Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Glowing Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
Back road to the burnout. GBR rematch. We're rolling down the back road to the burnout box. Tailgate talking about the tree and the clocks. Going bracket racing, pop pumping loud on the dash. Where the country boys winch and the city boys clash. When that pre-stage flickers, everybody gets quiet. Hit the loud pedal hard, let the whole crowd riot. Yeah, we got mud on the tires, slicks in the trailer, VP in the jug, beer in the cooler. From the clap of the headers to the smell of that glue. GBR, tune in if you live in that dream. Casey on the mic, bringing heat like July. Breaking down the bracket game with the sharp eagle eye. George jump in, dropping takes like a hammer. Two-man crew shouting bracket racing grammar. Double O's hit us, green light splitters. Top up kings and blow a car wizards. We're rolling down the back road to the burnout box. Tailgate talking about the tree and the clocks. Going bracket racing, pop pumping loud on the dash. Where the country boys wrench and the city boys clash. When that pre-stage flickers, everybody gets quiet. Hit the loud pedal hard, let the whole crowd riot. I got the cooler in the bed and the grill on low. Shooting breeze, about the stripe in the margin to go. From the big money races to your local track porch. Ain't nobody calling cleaner than Casey and George. Rubbing the throttle, playing old school tricks. The kind you only learn after thousands of hits. It's the GBR code from the farm to the town. Take it to the track and we'll all throw down. Fire suit swinging on a hook by the trees. Warm pit winds drifting soft in the breeze. If you know the feel of that Tuesday night air, then you know Casey and George, cause they're right there. I got the cooler in the bed and the grill on low. Shooting breeze, about the stripe and the margin to go. From the big money races to your...
What's up, everybody? Casey and George here on a Saturday, which is something new. We haven't done this in a really long time, but George works in that insurance industry, and that open enrollment period was ending, and all kinds of stuff was going on. So we didn't want to screw you guys out of a show this week, so we came to you anyway on Saturday. Right now, you can't see it, but over here on my TV in my shop, they got time runs on. I guess somebody just broke out there right now. It's that time of year, unfortunately. So they're getting ready to pick some stuff up. So we'll give you some entertainment while all that's happening. You don't have to watch the tractor races. Hopefully he didn't oil it down, but we never know. But November 22nd, if I haven't said that already, November 22nd, 2025, episode, I believe, 214 of the Glowing Bracket Racing Live podcast that's brought to you every single week by TSR Racing Products. Got a whole bunch of TSR Racing Products actually right behind this car. You can't see them right now, to put together two transmissions right now. Get those transmissions freshened up. If you have a Turbo 350, a 400, a 727, or a bunch of Power Glides, things like I got, call TSR Racing Products. They're your number one parts provider for everything you could possibly need. BRG 3D printed parts, anything you got going on your race car this winter. If you got any kind of new wild and crazy ideas that nobody's made any parts for yet, Brian Garrett can 3D print stuff off of whatever schematics you have for them. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. They got sticker shirts, brochures, anything you need for your business. That GBR logo right behind me, that was printed up by Syntex Printing. Do a great job over there. Hit them up. Driven Racing Oil. The only thing that we run in any of these cars out here, and I got two motors apart right now where the bearings, except for one because I got a little too lean on that good air in the IHRA race, but all the bearings look brand new other than that. And I can tell you right now that if there's crank flex that's going on in my motors, I can tell you that. So Driven Racing Oil, use code GBR10, get yourself 10% off your order. Anything they got. They even got some oil for you hunters out there in the woods. You know what I'm talking about. Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com for your shop tools, your carburetors, alternators, starters, radiators, any kind of crap that I call and tell them, hey, you guys should make this, and see if I can get them to make me something or another every once in a while. So proformparts.com, that's where you look up all that stuff. They got all kinds of stuff over there. I can't even name it all. Crew Chief Pro Software. We saw Don Higgins do a perfect run down there, I believe, at this mini million, if I'm not mistaken. You can see the time slip on our page, and that's because he's got Crew Chief Pro software. That's the guy who invented it. So you know it works. You know he's using it himself. He just showed you how well it works. You need to get you a copy of that right now. Gearhead Solutions. Anything that you can't find where, from everybody I was just talking about earlier, hit up Gearhead Solutions, and they got access to thousands and thousands of vendors. They can get you anything else you want for over the winter time. And of course, Mid-State Dragway in Havana, Illinois. I'm very interested to see what they do for 2026, because 2025 was probably the best season that I've seen there in a very, very long time. Constantly adding to the facility, constantly putting rock down so you guys aren't parking in the dirt. I mean, who knows what's going to go on there this year, George? I don't know if you got any inside scoop on Mid-State Dragway or not.
I got inside scoop, but I'm not going to break the news. I'm going to let Mid-State break their news, or take permission from Mid-State before I do so. I don't have permission to say anything yet, so I'm not gonna. But I do know what's happening, and there's not a racer in the area that will be upset. Okay, let's just say you guys are going to be going to Mid-State. It is what it is. Like I said before, probably 1,000 times on this stream, if you're anywhere near Mid-State in the first place, well, you shouldn't have been missing last year or the year before that. You definitely have no reason to miss this upcoming year. It's gonna be epic. You're gonna like it. I'm gonna like it. I might even try to get there from Texas. Who knows, man? It's a long drive for me, probably close to 15 hours, but I kind of don't care. Just come out and support old Mid-State Dragway. My buddies out there doing a good job. Casey, man, it's been like you said, at work, it's pretty hectic this time of year for an insurance man, but we got it done, and we keep pushing and all that good stuff, man. But on the drag racing side, like I said before, old Mo is in several pieces outside waiting to head over. I do believe Scott Wallace is going to service my transmission. I've never done it before. I wouldn't mind watching so that I could do it myself one day. But in the meantime, I'm going to go to Scott Wallace. He seems to have a pretty long line of transmissions to be freshened this year. So generally, if there's a long line, there's probably a reason that the line is long. And luckily, my transmission is in that line too. So that's on the floor. And the old motor will be coming out soon, headed to Mr. Veals, Casey. See if that old driven oil kept my bearings looking as good as it needs to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, there's not much going on here. I know we got a lot to talk about today, though, which is a good thing.
Yeah, man, there's been a lot going on this week. You know, we got obviously there's IHRA stuff going on. There's NHRA stuff going on. Manny Bujinga just broke the radio record at Rockingham, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, maybe even 344 or something. Let's just talk about what's going on right now real quick first, though, and give everybody a quick update. If you've been out of the loop, I know y'all are probably tuned into Motor Mania right now, but if you've been out of the loop, obviously Spencer Massey wins the warm-up 20K. Gage Birch runs himself at 6 cars. The first 40K, takes himself out and goes on to win the race. Second 40K was North Carolina to the front, because at 6 cars, 4 of them were North Carolina. At 3 cars, all of them were North Carolina, and then the teammates run each other. I want to say actually Austin might be a part of their team too, so it's very possible at 3 cars the Brown Lawler team had all of it. Yeah, that's what it takes to get 4 out of 6 at the end. But we were staying up betting all last night on them, and then we got to the point where me and Shonuff we were in the finals together because I had picked Jaden and he had picked Holloman. And then it's like, well, what are we going to do? Because they're probably just going to split it anyway, right? So I guess we just split it and we're done.
Right. Pretty interesting into that race too. I'm not mad about that one. You know, some of these races we get a split and quit. It's not the same feel where you got 2 teammates in a final, split and quit, call it a day, so be it. First man to the cooler wins or something. You know what I mean, Casey? That's the end of it all. But I don't mind that one, considering they were both on the same team, things of that nature. Pretty awesome deal. Although I will say, that was probably going to be a pretty good dogfight at the end of that race. I would have to imagine that Will, being the seasoned vet that he is at this point, has given Jaden, the up-and-coming person that's pretty well slamming his name on the list since the jump there. But the lessons I guarantee he's gotten from Will are starting to really show itself. I wonder what kind of chess match they would have got in on the racetrack. You know what I mean?
Be interesting, man. I mean, I guess on one hand, you got to say they both know each other's tricks because presumably most of Jaden's tricks are Will's tricks.
Right.
But dude, that kid, man, he's he's never been bad,
Right.
but he just exploded, I want to say, last year. He just got so much better. It's like everything just clicked for him, and he's been winning anything there is to win ever since Holloman joined the team. So, great job to both of them, and definitely a good investment for their team owners for sure, because I was talking to Michael Crumpler this morning. I said, dude, I bet you in the last couple years, they might have won $300,000 amongst them. Like as far as the big checks go, they've won a lot of stuff. I think one year, it was either last year or 2 years ago, Jaden won like 350-granders by himself.
Right.
So that's 150 right there.
Well, I can be honest with you. The only combination of teams that I've seen that have been anything close to what I'm watching with Will and Jaden would be probably Mia Tedesco, Catfish, Jason Lynch. That was a extremely good combination when it started. You could tell that Catfish was doing quite a bit of teaching, at least from my vantage point. I know Mia, she was no slouch as well, just like you said about Jaden. But other than that, it would have been Will Holloman, Chris Bear. That team combination right there was really, really solid. Taking nothing from all the other teams, but they weren't teams from the beginning is what I'm getting at. They kind of just combined each other. Similar to an NHRA topic that we may get a chance to touch, Casey, that I'm not even sure you're even aware of, but I'll keep that one in my pocket. Once NHRA come up, I'll pull it out. But
while we're on this subject, it makes me wonder, is this the future of what big money bracket racing will be? Because, there have been teams out there, like obviously the original, I feel like, team would be Overkill. And even you go back before that, I guess it would have been Bloomfield really before Overkill, because that's who Troy and Gary really started running for, I think, back in the day.
True.
But I would say the first like super team would for sure be Overkill. And then Withrow hooked up with Jeff Serra.
Yep.
Remember that? I mean, that's probably one of the most successful teams of all time as well.
Yep.
Birch
and
Daddis.
Yep.
That's a obviously great match. I just saw right before we got on here, I didn't realize Daddis, I think last week, won a 25-grander or something too. So I mean, Gage and Daddis are just one after another, like always. Gage was in super deep last night.
Oh yeah,
he stayed in super deep last night.
I put money on him. He went three red, but that happens. You know what I mean? And I would have rather you go red by 3,000 and been 40 on the tree, and that's not Gage Birch like. So wouldn't have expected him to be late there. But old boy next to him was 10 on the tree, and I think maybe a hun under, if that. So he was going to be a tough cookie at the finish line, one way or the other, from what I see. But Gage, once he gets on the string, Casey, as we spoke, I think episode 141, if I'm not wrong, you might know right off the top of your head, but
140, I believe. I think I looked it up.
Once the kid gets going, and you let him see win lights like that, everybody's in trouble. Everybody's in trouble. It's going to be hard to beat him the rest of the week if you let him get a good head start on the data, on the laps, on the tree, on all that. It's going to be a long weekend. That's all I got to tell you.
Do you think the future, Westbury Coltrera, that popped into my head too.
Yeah.
Do you think the future of this mega money stuff and these series type events, like what's going on right now, where they have an entire week's worth of 40-granders basically? I mean, they're small races, 20. So, I mean, what's small anymore? But it's like, do you think the future of all this stuff has to be, you kind of got to be a part of a team to share information, if for no other reason other than the fact that one person can always go down the track first and the second person always knows, did it pick up, did it slow down?
Yeah, you know, Casey, I feel like if it's not the future, we're already living it in a sense. I felt like a while back we had an episode about, and it was a long time ago, Casey. It might even been less than 100, but we talked about having friends at the racetrack and friends being close enough within their racing operations that they share information amongst each other, even if they're not teammates. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I feel like if we're not there, it's definitely the future, especially on the lines of splitting tabs, like Anthony Hurst is saying here. Teams in bracket racing with the expense of every item sounds smart. Well, it does, because if my converter goes down, well, Casey's probably got the same converter or similar laying in his trailer. So everything really does get quite a bit easier as you team up. And granted, I know that in bracket racing, the brotherhood of all racing, if you ask me, I really don't think there's any other type of racing that you can put up against it, because of things like I'm about to mention. Marshall Groom breaks the motor here at the Mini Million, right? Breaks his motor, and I do believe somebody loaned him a motor, and I'm talking a motor. Joker will run 420s. You know what I mean? So then I heard like 10 or 15 people came over and helped him put it in. You know, so whether you know Marshall or not, the brotherhood of bracket racing again shows itself to where somebody's always willing to lend a hand, and in this case, somebody was willing to lend a motor, man. So teammates is definitely big, but I feel like it's always been a notion of team in bracket racing, even if
Mhm.
you're not on said team. And whenever it all comes down to it, and we pull up to the starting line, well, the gloves are off, buddy. It's bare knuckles. Let's go to work. I don't care if you're on my team or not. That's what I feel like what happens in bracket racing.
Yeah, and whoever, I don't know who you just said their name that said that, as far as, yeah, Marshall Grooms, the going off of kind of what he's talking about with the expenses and whatnot.
Oh,
Think
Anthony
about
Hurst,
just
yep.
the fact of Anthony Hurst said it. Well, either way, think about just simple stuff like when you're running these races. We were talking about it earlier this week. You're going to go all the way to Florida, and you can't just go with your car in the trailer like you're going to a weekend race. You almost have to, bare minimum, like if I'm going to Florida, then I need you to go to Florida too, because if one of our cars breaks, then like if we blow the motor
Split
up, I'm not bringing an extra motor. Like I might
Right.
have an extra transmission or something and
Right.
some fuel pumps and stuff like that. I have everything I need, but I don't have a big thing like that. We need to have a whole nother car we can double up in or something
Yep.
like that, you know, like, or you have people like tons of people either have a spare motor or they have a car with no motor in it, but they have an extra car that they just never got rid of or whatever. And like guys can team up that way too. Is like, okay, we'll put your motor in your transmission. That's how the one that Underwood won the million in originally, that Buck car.
Yep.
That was something, you know, you was Underwood and then somebody else, but it's like one guy's motor, one guy's car, and one guy's transmission or something. And that's how they raced. And now they're partners in it, but they only have a third in each one. And if you only have a third in each thing and you guys are all splitting stuff, presumably like however you're ending up doing it, now you don't need to, when you win 10 grand, you might not get all 10 grand, but you also don't have to put all the money out because one guy builds the car and one guy pays an entry fee. And now it's kind of half. You can still run these big races, but you're only half in.
Yeah, man, and honestly, it's smart. It's smart economically, especially right now. Like I said before, and no politics intended here, but you know, it's not the greatest economy that we got going on right now. At least for some, not everybody feels it, and that was always going to be the case. And that's enough about politics. But anyway, back to drag racing. It is crucial to me to definitely have somebody who you can lean on, but at the same time, man, bracket racing always shows up. So, and I only speak about bracket racing. I'm sure it's probably the same across the drag racing community as a whole. But my experiences are within bracket racing. That's why I know for a fact that what I'm saying about bracket racing is not incorrect. So that's why I'm bringing it so matter of factish on the subject of bracket racing. Mm-hmm.
Here's something that I want to bring up that I feel like has gone to the wayside at a lot of places. I don't know if it was this week or if it was late last week, but I had posed a question and I worded it incorrectly, but I think Zach Schlump was actually the one that posted what I had meant to say actually. But I had said something about like, why do we have time runs? Like, why don't we just do run for the money or whatever for like extra $10?
Yep,
Because there's all these people that say they don't want time runs or don't need time runs or whatever. Well, Zach corrected me and he's like, why not just have it where you get a time run anyway? And if you want to contribute to the pot, you want to kick in, then you have a chance to win the pot. Man, I can't believe how many people told me that was a stupid idea. And I'm like, I just see, like, they said, oh, well, people have tried this and it's failed. I was like, but what's to fail about it? Because, like, say we have an entire track of, like, say 1,000 entries or something. And let's say nobody wants to do it. As long as 2 people enter it, someone's going to win more money than they lost. I don't care if it's $5, because if Casey and George put in $5 a piece and it's 80-20 split with a track, then somebody gets 8 of the $10, but it only stands to earn the track money. You cannot lose any money by doing that idea. So I don't really understand why everybody jumped all over me saying it was a stupid idea. And I was like, but how? Because this is legitimately the only thing you could do that's 100% risk-free, because people can go get their time run for free or they can contribute to the pot. And I can tell you right now, everybody kept saying nobody would do it. I can tell you right now, if they did that at Galat's normal race, I would say probably 80% of the people would get in.
That's what I was going to say too. And I believe it's 80% at every track. As a matter of fact, Casey, I feel like it's more of a situation that maybe people don't want to spend the time to do it. Having to put the times up on the boards, I think is in the mix. Having to track it is in the mix. And at the same time, I mean, I figure it's a little bit more work, but there's no way it fails by being a bad idea. If it fails by being too much to add to the plate of the track, well, I got you, right? Maybe it takes more to do it than what we actually know, because neither one of us know how to run the track. I don't know how to run the track. I mean, give me 10 minutes sitting behind whoever running it, I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. Don't get me wrong.
But they're doing the same thing they're getting ready to do next round.
Correct. So, and it's the same thing over and over, and it's not your first time ever doing it. But so maybe that is the answer that I felt like was kind of making its way through that post that you made is, well, the time or the effort that you have to do it is the problem. But that's not how it came across. It came across as everybody thought it was a bad idea. And honestly, I know several people who at the racetrack, especially back to the partners that we're talking about, or their friends at the racetrack, hey, man, I bet you $20 my reaction time is better than yours on this first time hit. Okay? Yes, what does it do? It puts you in race mode on your first hit. So it's like, all right, let's put a little money up. Who has the better light? $20. Let's go. You know, same thought process to me.
Well, if you have 300 entries at a track, which, you know, everybody doesn't have that, but Galat does, for example. And I'm just speaking off that because that's what I have the most experience being, since I'm right down the road from it. But like, say you do like $10. If you want to contribute, fine, you can be in. If you don't, then fine. We used to do it at Gateway all the time. Like if you say it's $10 and 100 people get in it, that's $1,000. So if you do a 80-20 or a 70-30 split where the driver gets the big half, I mean, let's say 70-30 over $1,000, the track gets $300. Like, that just paid for one of your workers that day. So why would you not want to do that? Now you got one worker for free every day just because you wanted to spend that, you know, little bit of time.
Yeah, extra little bit of time. Hey man, I'll tell you what, I may make a call to Mid-State to where we could get somebody to actually try it and then report on the success levels of how it went, because I feel like if you can show it, like before you purchase a business, you always want to see what they did the year before, you know what I mean? Or purchase a house, you want to know what the electric bill was the last 2 years if you can. It'll tell you a lot about that house. Well, if we could give that information out, I feel like the idea would probably be a little bit more solidified. Tracks would be a little bit more willing to try it. So maybe Mid-State. That's my first guess. Would probably be somebody who would be willing to do it. We'll test that, Casey. Let's see what we can do. You know what I mean?
Yep. Guys up there aren't scared to do any extra work. I can tell you that. They're ready. So
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're talking about in the situation I just posed, you're talking about whoever would win that win like $700, you know, just based on the numbers that I said minimum. So you're like, that, I mean, that's, in some places, that's almost as much as winning the whole race, you know?
Dude, all I know is I don't see it taking substantially more time to do. I know you have to enter numbers into the boards and stuff like that, but it's still a time run. It's just now it's actually closest to the dial. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And like I
it's
said, it's going to
nothing.
be, you're literally, it's not like this is, some crazy idea, because they're literally going to do that. Everybody's going to do that next round. And somebody will say, well, I don't know what my car's going to run. Well, you don't have to participate anyway. Yes, you got to put a dial in on it, but you could put 9 flat on it if it's a 450 dragster. It makes no difference. It just needs something on there,
Right.
you know?
Right. So, hey, I like the idea. I'd like to see what happens. You know what I mean? And I think
Right.
eventually we will see what happens, regardless of if we have something to do with calling the person to get it to happen or not. Somebody's eventually going to message us on the Facebook page and say, hey, we tried your idea and it sucked or it was good. And
Oh,
then we'll report it back. Mhm.
I just looked over to the side to see what they were doing. I'm pretty sure this is Anson Brown backing up. I don't have the volume on.
Yeah, it is.
But did you see him last night when he ran wheel at like 6 cars or whatever?
Boy,
That
boy.
car came up and it wasn't coming down.
Yeah, buddy, he got off of it and got pretty squirrely too. I felt like
Yeah.
after he came down, he drove himself all the way to the dang center line. Better the center line than the wall, you know what I mean? Because
will
that hard of
say-
a move to the wall, he was smacking it.
TJ Pruitt, our buddy at Drag Coverage, he is doing a lot of media work for them right now, doing a lot of pit interviews. And I don't know if you saw the pit interview that he did, or the In the Lanes interview he did with Anson. That kid is very well spoken for being that young.
Yeah, man. But
I mean-
honestly, you got Antron Brown, probably the best of the
Right.
best, on the microphone next to my man John Forrest. Hey, thanks for what you did for the sport, John Forrest. You my guy. I'm gonna keep saying that either way. But you're sitting there watching your dad do it for years, and Antron's always been really good on the mic at the big end, as if he probably should be an announcer sometime soon when he hangs it up. Like, keep racing, don't get me wrong, but eventually Antron's probably going to make his way to the booth. He's that well spoken. So
Yeah, I would think so.
Apple don't fall far from the tree. What I am most excited about with Anson Brown is that kid can drive his behind off. Okay.
Yes.
2 days in a row. I think he maybe went down 7th round last night, but he was in the
Yeah, he's
the
like
final
second
round.
in point.
Yeah, man, he was in the final round the against Birch. So Birch got him, but the kid can drive his behind off. And I know he came out of juniors and all that, and I know that plays a part. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't think that you would think that a professional level guy's kid should be good, blah blah blah.
blah,
And
blah.
yes, while that's kind of true, but I don't really think Anson got to race junior dragsters a whole lot like a lot of kids, because his dad was always on the road. I want to say that it was just whenever Antron wasn't racing that Anson could race, but he didn't race like every single weekend, I don't think, in juniors, or he didn't used to, I don't think.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm not scared to send a message to Anson Brown and say, hey, bud, you want to come on going bracket racing? Let's talk. Because I'm sorry, man. We watched him at the Twin 50s. I think he took the Twin 50s down maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I'm not 100% sure, but kid's making his name in the bracket racing list in the world. So, hey, let's find out,
Well, now that we've started talking about him, I was just telling you, just when we were talking the other day, the reason so we always talk about who's going to be the next Scotty Richardson. And I told you, I said, I think it's Gage Birch, because Gage is the guy he's exactly like Scotty. He'll come and beat everybody's heads in, and then you just won't see him for like 6-8 months. And then he'll come back and he'll beat everybody's heads in again. And it's like, I told you, Corey Galletti, by far, top 5 for sure, probably of all time, definitely right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Corey also races a lot. He races 2-3 times a weekend, every weekend for the last 5-7 years,
Right.
It's a lot harder, and I think Corey would agree with this. It is a lot harder to come in and out, and then you jump back in, and you're not jumping into a local race. Like, you're jumping into the best of the best when no one else is racing right now. Everybody's in Florida right now who's a big time racer, and you're jumping in with the best of the best guys and the best of the best equipment. And Gage comes in, and not only does he win the event, the only person to beat him that day was himself at 6 cars.
That's right. That's right.
Just like at Rockingham.
Yep, it's similar. It's definitely the same, and the list continues to grow. I can name a few that have really showed me they can throw down with the best of the best. I really still want to see Gage Birch jump into a dragster and show us that he can do it in both, because that really would show that'll speak for itself right there.
Right.
If you can do
But
it in multiple types of cars. So
my point with the reason I brought that up was because talking about Anson, I feel like he's kind of doing that too. Like he shows up and stomps everyone's head into the ground, and then
he's not there for
I
a little
don't
bit.
see him
Yep.
for a while, and
Yep.
then he shows back up and he's deep again.
Well, it makes sense that he'd be out there in Florida right now because you and I both know right before we get to our marketing partners, because it's coming. I'm shocked Tom ain't yelling at me right now, telling me you got to give the word to the marketing partners. But one thing I know for sure is that Florida is going to be live with bracket racing, pro mod racing, racing in general for the
Antron's probably
probably
running that
at least
red,
a month and
whatever
a
it
half.
is.
Exactly. Antron's likely in the World Series of Pro Mod that's going to be happening, the Winter Series that's going to be happening. I don't see any way that Antron is on the sideline instead of in a Pro Mod car. So it makes sense that everybody's out there in Florida. It makes sense that Anson has a car out in Florida because Pop's probably got a couple cars out there too. You know what I mean? So hang in there with us, guys. We're going to give our marketing partners a few moments of your time on this lovely, lovely Saturday afternoon. It's kind of weird saying that, but that's what it is, I guess. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Here's the skinny on the ProForm Slim Fit radiator systems. They are the industry's first and only 4-inch thick radiator system. That's the radiator plus the shroud plus the fan combined. A complete unit that's up to 40% thinner than others on the market. Fully assembled for performance out of the box. Eliminate the stress and frustration that comes as precious weekend hours are lost trying to upgrade your cooling system with major space constraints. The Slim Fit system utilizes 2 patented pieces of technology, allowing for a seamlessly integrated radiator system with a 3rd tank in the center of the radiator where the high-performance fan motor is installed inside the core, not hanging off the shroud. The coolant can flow all the way through the radiator, eliminating dead space. And it looks especially great under the hood. Sleek angles, eye-catching perforations, and a smooth aluminum shroud complete the streamlined 4-corner design that defines style and a well-put-together engine bay.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick-release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Going Bracket Racing, episode 214. As I look at my other computer over here on the other side. Can't be done without you guys, the Going Bracket Racing community. Let me thank you first for always chiming in, checking out our posts on the Facebook page, liking and sharing, saying what's up when you see anybody going bracket racing out there, be it George and Casey, be it Will, Holloman. Everybody's got bracket racing gear, going bracket racing gear right now. More than I even expected, to be honest. So thanks for all banding together and being a community of racers and friends. So that's first and foremost. To our partners, Syntax Printing, Crew Chief Pro, dead on zero. That rhymes. All of it. Crew Chief Pro goes dead on zero. I like that, right, Casey? KJP, Ken Jones Performance Parts, TSR Racing Products, Driven Racing Oil, Proform Parts, Mid-State Dragway, BRG Motorsports, 3D printed parts, 8th Mile Apparel, where you can get that GBR merch, Team 14 Motorsports, Gearhead Solutions. You guys are awesome for being partners with us this long. We especially thank you for sticking around with us and keeping us moving along there, man. So, and if you'd like to add your name to the list of marketing partners, we'd be glad to speak with you. Just send us an email, goingbracketracing@gmail.com, or Facebook, Going Bracket Racing. You can find us on YouTube at Going Bracket Racing. My name is George. His name is Casey. We'd be glad to help. Casey, man, the news is swirling pretty good here, and we talked about teams. So with an NHRA, I'm going to start this with a little bit of musical chairs going on, basically. Austin Prock and team. Not just Austin Prock, his dad. I feel like his brother or maybe both brothers are all involved in John Force Racing, or should I say, were involved in John Force Racing, because rumor has it, probably substantiated at this point, Prock team has left John Force Racing, Casey. That's a pretty big blow on what I consider the face of NHRA right now, Austin Prock, going somewhere else. Nobody knows where he's going, but I have a feeling it's going to be somewhere with the smoke. What are your thoughts?
I mean, he's coming at it hard, isn't he? Tony Stewart, he's all in. And he said the other day, he said the reason why he got rid of all his NASCAR stuff is because it's because of ROI. He can give his sponsors so much more by spending literally a fraction of the cost in NHRA. And he might be the next super team, because he's an extremely marketable guy, and he's got a John Force personality. Like, Tony Stewart has always been the guy that he will tell you what he thinks, and if you don't like it, you shouldn't have asked. You know, like, if you didn't want to hear what he thought, then you shouldn't have asked him. And that's what that professional drag racing is missing, and has been missing. I told you this, we were talking earlier this week whenever John Force announced his retirement, or maybe it was last week, but I said, you know what the last exciting thing that happened in NHRA professional drag racing was whenever John Force and Tony Pedregon got into it at the finish line, whenever John supposedly was laying down for Robert Height to win the championship or whatever.
Yep. And I think so. And you get a chance to see that in NASCAR quite a bit. Well, if you don't like it and you're running so far up into my behind, well, if you get around me, I might just so happen to check you with my nose and put you into the wall.
Right.
You know, stuff like that. Well, that never ends with just check my car and make me crash. No, those racers are generally going to at least get in each other's face. Where I don't like the violence, it is TV, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? And definitely puts a spin on things. Well, what I like about Austin Prock is I feel like he's especially young enough, but he's got a mouth on him, and he ain't scared to use it. And so now we see the face of. We didn't really have a face for a long time, man.
Right.
And now I really think the face of NHRA is two-time champion now, Austin Prock. And big time blow to John Force Racing. I'd love to see who he's going to put in his cars. And I feel like, is it Corwell or Cornwell Tools? Whoever that sponsors Prock is probably leaving with Prock as well. So it's going to get pretty interesting.
Because what a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of those sponsors, they don't sponsor a team, they sponsor a person. They sponsor one person. They like that guy.
That's right.
That's why you see, you know, certain people get stuck with certain brands forever, because they sponsor the guy. That's the thing that all those MPK guys showed to a lot of these professional level teams, is they showed that ultimately you don't need to be this, I don't know what you'd call it, this like little stuffed animal of a person or whatever, like plush toy or whatever. Like, you can be a real person, and there are people who will back you because people follow the guy. They don't follow the car. They don't follow the team. They don't even care if you win or not. Like,
Yep.
that's what people have started to find out. There's people who are sponsored that never win a race. And you know what? John Force was one of those people. Back when he sucked, because he did suck at one point, he was sponsored by like Wendy's or something. I remember him telling a story that the reason he got sponsored by Wendy's is because Wendy's also sponsored Prudhomme, who was the man, you know, back in the day. And Prudhomme was going to go win the race, but Wendy's wanted somebody to start a fuel car out in front of their Wendy's up the street or whatever back in the 80s or something. And so John got the sponsorship. He said he'd stay there and do it. And then he came back for the last qualifier. And I don't know if he made the race or not, but it was just a story he was telling. But that's more of a, you know, they sponsored Force because of what he was willing to do for them. They didn't sponsor him because he was good, because he was not good. That was when he blew everything there was up.
Right. And those are the growing pains, of course. And I'm pretty sure that Donna Snake Prudhomme and a few other big names that elude me right now pretty well gave him a tough time early on. There's that part. But let's get into a little bit more NHRA. As we know, we watched Pomona Or did we? No, we didn't. We saw it scheduled on the TV, but it never came on. And the reason it didn't come on is because, The Game, a rapper that you and I like to listen to sometimes, they say it never rains in Southern California. Yeah, buddy, it was raining in Southern California. I mean, the floodgates was open in Southern California, and it forced NHRA to make a couple of really, really hard calls, very hard calls, to say the least. Number one, no time runs going to the sportsman classes. And so off the trailer, we got to watch people go at it. I say, bravo. I enjoyed it. I watched a little bit of it. Didn't get to watch a lot because, again, work-wise, it was open enrollment for me, so I didn't get to watch the TV as much. But there are a lot of people who really enjoyed that format, and a lot of people who were on the outside looking in, or fence watchers standing by the fence and not actually participating, who gave it a lot of negative comment and feedback. Again, bravo. Every one of those drivers out there got Crew Chief Pro, and if they don't, they're going to go get it now because they didn't get a time run. You know what I mean? And you can tell who knows their cars and who didn't, who had an understanding of what the weather's like in Pomona and who didn't. And I saw some good laps. So that's number one, Casey. What were your thoughts on NHRA's call for no time runs? The reason being not because the race was so packed, it had buybacks or something like that. None of that, right? It was going to rain for the foreseeable next few days. What were your thoughts on that call?
Obviously the right call because they had to do what they had to do. I saw a lot of people complaining on the internet as usual, probably that aren't even there, saying, you drive all this way and you get all this way and you don't get a time run and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, dude, how much does that time run really matter for you sportsman racers anyway? Because it was like 3 days ago. So it literally doesn't matter anyway. Now, the one thing that I will say was, which they corrected, but which was going to be the wrong call, was for top dragster, top sportsman. They were going to just say, okay, well, you're qualified by points. Well, the way that their ladders work, you get points for being in certain spots on the ladder. Number two, and probably most importantly, with the championship on the line, you got to realize there's a possibility that certain guys that are maybe in the championship race might not get down the track, so they might not qualify, and that changes the entire concept of what the championship is in those qualified classes. Because I've seen that happen a lot of times. I watch a lot of that top sportsman, top dragster stuff, and championships are decided sometimes by guys who, honestly, the best place to be as far as consistency goes, at least it used to be this way, was like, say you're running top dragster, say it's 32 car field, was to be in the like 28 to 32 slot. And the reason I say that is because you would have a normal, say, super comp car with no throttle stop on it, like 750 car, 730 car, something like that. Obviously all the front half cars are going to be trying to go 610, 6 flat back in the day. Well, that you would assume most people would say the 750 dragster is going to be more consistent than a guy that's trying to go 0.98 60 foot. It just is. It's less track dependent. And while that isn't necessarily the case all the time anymore, as people have figured this stuff out, it used to be. Now, I want to say it might have been Jeremy York, maybe, that he ended up winning the championship, but he had said in an interview a long time ago, I don't know if it was on Sportsman Drag Racing Podcast back in the day or whatever, but he had said, yeah, I'm going to go to California or whatever, or Vegas or wherever he was going, because he's got to run one more national or one more whatever. And his biggest thing was, I just hope I qualify, because that's going to make or break him winning the championship type thing. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. But the point is that was the mindset of whoever it was. And if you can't qualify, you can't get any points. You got to earn the right to race those classes.
Yeah, and that was the right call for the top sportsman, top dragster, and all of the above. I think it was the right calls across the board, and my hat's off, because that's a hard decision to make. But if you don't make that decision, then you don't get any racing done for the week, because a few days later they canceled the entire season finale of the NHRA. And what I don't understand, a lot of people are like, you can't cancel it. It's just like the Super Bowl or the World Series or whatever the case it may be. And there's one thing that can be said that it would make it not like those things. The majority of those games are played in places that are probably retractable, meaning you can play them outside or you can play them inside. If the weather is less than favorable, then you close the roof. Last time I checked, we don't have any indoor racetracks. So I don't understand the comments of, it doesn't happen in the NBA or this, that. They're not faced with the same set of elements that the NHRA is faced with, or IHRA for that matter. I don't care who it is, but I do understand the feeling of, well, we've got all this time invested in this season. I want to see the finale. I understand that. But if the finale can't be given in a safe manner, I would rather pack it up and save race cars and save lives and stop having to have so much work to be done on a racetrack to get it done in the first place, to just go ahead and put them on a marginal track that's not safe. So again, to me, it's the right call. That is a hard call to make. And making that call, it is not easy to make that call.
I have one question for you. And I don't know if they looked into this or not, but for the pro side of things, what I wonder is, what did the future forecast look like, and why didn't they just hold them over for a couple of days since it decided championships?
Rain, I think, is the main part.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, say the week after.
I mean, that's a long time, but
the only other thing I know is that there was a hotel rented somewhere near, maybe Vegas, maybe something like that, where they have the NHRA year-end banquet. And that's not a small party. I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall at that party. Let me, hey, would you like another cocktail? I'll do that. I don't care. I just want to go one day to see what it's like. You know what I mean? So imagine the amount of money that probably went into that as well. And
yeah,
this it's a tough call, but it's the right call.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that that was actually the majority of the reason for the call, because I mean, that's probably $1 million party,
Guarantee it, Casey. And it's tough to make that call. And then number two, that season finale, yes, it's the race in Pomona, but the other season finale, the icing on the cake is probably that party. A lot of hands are probably getting shook. The deal with whoever Austin Prock went to that we don't know about probably happened at that banquet party. Hey man, you want to come race for us? Are you being serious? Something like that, you know what I mean? Probably happened right there. So again, good call. I don't have a way to pick at those calls. That's a tough thing to do. And you can't compare it. I think it was Cycle Drag that I saw compare it. You cannot compare that to professional sports that are played or can be played indoors. You can't do it. It's not the same.
No, not even close.
No.
Like I said, if it was a scenario where you could have held them over till Monday or whatever, but you got to also remember too that areas where it doesn't rain very often, when they finally do get rain, that doesn't go well for the ground, and their stuff isn't made to handle that. So like they don't have water diversion type stuff, because why would they? Like the ground doesn't soak that up. It's hard as a brick.
Yeah, man. Again, right call. Casey, man, we're probably going to have to save one of the topics for the next show, which can be Tuesday, right? Because we have another show coming Tuesday. That's the probably going to be, I'm not even going to say it. We'll talk about it later. But we can bring up this where I say bravo to NHRA. I'm going to put on my IHRA hat and talk about the emergence of the small tire car and why this is a huge breaking news moment for IHRA that was brought to us by the one Stinky Pinky himself, the Disco Dean, the Tink Hang, about the small tires cars being added to the show for IHRA. I don't know how many races they're going to have. I feel like it's maybe 10, I think. What does that bring to IHRA? Fans. It's exactly what you just got done talking about a moment ago. I like how you prefaced us, Casey. You didn't even know we were going to go here, I don't think. But there are a lot of small tire fans out there, man. So what did you just do? You just invited them to your race so that they can watch what they like. What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to begin this statement with a call to action.
Oh.
See that logo? L's Drive-In. Everybody who's in the area, if you go to L's Drive-In, first of all, they got extremely good food, Morehead City. Go over there and just tell anybody over there, say, tell Shelton to buy slicks for 2.0, and he'll know what you're talking about.
Huh.
Because if he doesn't run that 28, because the rules, as far as what Disco said, the rules are 28, 10, 5 tire, 9W, the end. Got to be stock appearing. You can't have like Pro Mod like car. It's just got to be stock dimensions, and that's the tire, and there's no rules other than that as far as I could tell, no time deal. And that car fits it, and I've been on him forever to get slicks for it. So maybe this will help. I need your help going bracket racing, people. Go out there and talk to them. But and get you some cheeseburgers because they're really good. Shrimp burgers. You got shrimp burgers over there. Anyway.
Hold on.
What are we holding for?
Martin sent me something that it's actually Mass Traction talking. Hold on. He's at
Okay.
Montgomery. I wonder, does IHRA own Montgomery now? Is basically what's being broken.
Oh, Montgomery, Alabama?
Yep.
Possible.
Done deal with the Durana cart, the Durana trailer's there if you can see it.
Uh-oh. Well, it might be then. You never know. You never know. Everybody tells us we're wrong anytime we bring anything up, though. So,
yeah,
but,
all the MPK racers are invited, according to Barn. So your Swanstrom, man, listen, man, big time news coming out of IHRA. There's another subject that we'll get into, Casey, pertaining to the IHRA that I feel like doesn't just affect IHRA, it affects NHRA, IHRA, it affects drag racing. Save it for Tuesday because I know you know what I'm talking about. So, but Casey, fans in the stands, he say what you want about what's happening with IHRA. They know how to put butts in the seat. Okay, that is the ultimate.
That's needed to happen for a long time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
they're figuring that part out, and they figured it out fast.
Well, these classes that they're coming up with, like, again, going back to this small tire deal, these are people who already have a fan base. They just need an organization to race with. And yeah, they were all outlaw type guys for a long time. And yes, a lot, not all of them, but a lot of those cars, like, they need to get a little more up to snuff on safety and stuff like that. So they're going to have to figure that stuff out. But these are serious cars that these guys already have their own fans that they're going to bring with them. They just need to all come to one area that's actually a safe place to race, because a lot of places they race are not safe. If one bad thing, I know something happened somewhere the other day where it was a freak deal, but a car went off the end at the end of the track and killed first responders or whatever. And it's
yeah,
and that wouldn't, your typical racetrack, even your old racetracks that are kind of like your outlaw style tracks, they were designed still to handle wrecks like that at the top end. Like, even if it's corrugated guardrail, at least it's not allowing the car to just go straight to somebody,
right?
And that's why that stuff needs an organization around it, because I mean, it's just simple. Even us, like, I've never street raced anything or whatever, but I've always been at the track. But you think about that type of stuff growing, and maybe they don't have the ability to do it based on where they race, but they're definitely throwing money behind this. So it should bring the people out there, and that's going to get more people interested in the other forms of racing that are happening there, which ultimately is the only way you can get more people actually racing.
Yep, man. Hey, all I know is it's the off season, Casey. Winter series will probably be starting for us here pretty soon. All that is more episodes of Going Bracket Racing in the wintertime. So make sure you join in for winter series, and we'll have some things to talk about. Maybe we'll get some guests on here and have something to do, some bench racing during the off season. What else you got, Casey, before we get out of here? Because it's just a lot of news that's breaking absolutely right now, even as we speak.
Yeah, man, there ought to be
over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too. That's why I keep looking over here to my right all the time. There there's a lot of cars out there. It's going to be really cool too, because this year, of course, this is just the beginning of the winter series down there in Florida. They got all those races at Immokalee. Like, we have no downtime anymore. So as long as Motor Mania is out there streaming, we'll have something to watch and talk
That's right.
about all year long. It's a lot easier. Remember when we started this thing like 5 or 6 years ago, and we always were like, dude, what are we going to talk about in the wintertime? We always found
Right.
something, but
Right.
it started getting tough sometimes, you know,
then
and
it got easier because you're right, the Immokalee thing. Yep. Or the
Right,
the whole Florida thing. Yep.
yeah, I mean, I hear Wes Buck say it all the time, and it's his fault really, but there is no off season anymore, you know, and it's great. Like we got snowbirds and everything getting ready to happen, and that's always a record breaking thing. I kind of am wondering if Jimmy Taylor's going to run the first 300-mile-an-hour run in testing at snowbirds. So, you know, if that happens, everybody's going to know it. And he said, I listened to a podcast when I was coming home from the Sheen shop Thursday, I want to say, and he was on there talking about it. He hadn't even done what he has recently done yet. He was getting ready to try to go 300, and he lifted, I think, and he said when he lifted, he was going 282, which is like 1,000 foot or something when he broke the record. But he said specifically, if he doesn't break 300 with this car, he's building a car right now that will. So the motor can do it. We know the motor can do it. It's can the car, the chassis, the way the front end on the tree and everything can it handle the air pressure? So, but he said specifically, if he doesn't do it with this car, he basically guarantees the next one will, because he already knows he has the power and he can already do it. It's just, can the car physically handle it?
One more piece of breaking news that would make you go, I heard that Mass Traction and IHRA may have been in Topeka, Kansas for lunch. I remember it being a really, really nice racetrack in Topeka, Kansas. And I'll leave it at that. Well, you know, Casey.
And supposedly the taxes got paid too.
Interesting.
Supposedly they got paid.
Interesting. Boy, I tell you what. Hey, guys, thanks for what you do for us. Yeah, Lee. Go ahead, Casey.
I was just going to say one last thing, is that all I know is everybody that has said this guy can't do this, can't do that, everything he has said, maybe it doesn't happen right now. Maybe they jumped the gun a little bit on a few things, but it always seems like down the road it comes true. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, we're going to have an interesting show next week, too. So make sure you guys are here for episode 215. I almost said 115, Casey, but make sure you're here for 215. Got a little bit more to talk about on this subject, as well as one other subject that I feel like really needs to be talked about. But until then, Casey, George, have a good one. See you guys next Tuesday.